So anyway, I didn't mean to stop that last one short, but my neighbor came over, which was nice. She stayed her respectable distance away, but I do love my neighbors. When you have a good neighbor, there's nothing like it. So I was on number 3, and I found the LCD, which was 2x. You can see I wrote it here, and I wrote it again because I wanted to distribute it, and I also wrote it on the other side. In this first instance, the 2's are going to cancel, so I have 5x. In the second instance, the x's are going to cancel, so I have 2 times 1. And on the right side, I have 3 times 2x. So I end up with x equals 2. And actually, I can check this pretty quickly. 5 halves plus 1 half. Yeah, that works. 6 halves. 6 halves is 3. Yay. Number 4, looking for the LCD. The LCD is x minus 3 and x plus 2. I'm just going to write it on the left. I'm going to forego the parentheses just to kind of try to make sure you can see it all. And it's going to distribute here and also here. And I'll make sure the rest of it's pretty neat. In the first part, those cancel. So the 4 is going to distribute to the x plus 2. 4 times x plus 2 equals, here, the x plus 2's cancel. So 9 is going to go to x minus 3. And here I have to make sure, what do I have in my paper? Here I have to make sure the negative 5 distributes to whatever that is. So I'm going to do this work up here. So x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. So when negative 5 distributes to that, I'll get minus 5x squared plus 5x plus 30. Minus 5x squared. I like to check my work because obviously I'm multitasking being at home. So I'm going to shift everything to the left side because I want that 5x squared to be positive. So I'm going to add 5x squared. So I dealt with that. That's gone. Then I had 9x plus 5x, which is 14x on this side. So I'll subtract 14x. So I'm all done with those. So I dealt with those. And then I have negative 27 plus 30, which is positive 3. So I'm going to subtract 3. So to factor that, I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And then I know it's going to factor to that. So that's going to give me x equals 1. Seems to be a reasonable solution. And lastly, number 5, Even or Evan. I think I'll call him Evan. It sounds more natural. It takes him 3 hours to complete a job by himself completely. So Evan, his part of the job that he can do by himself, it takes him 3 hours. So that means he can complete 1/3 of the job per hour. And I know the question is saying, how much of the job can Faith do alone per hour? If it just was Faith working, how long would it take her? They tell you that these two guys are going to work 2 4/5 hours. So I'm going to change it to 2.8, which I might regret. I may want to do that as a improper fraction since that's how I do most of my work anyway. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to change that. But anyway, you're going to do part of job completed per hour. These are the number of hours worked together equals total part of job. So you're going to do 2.8 over 3, which, like I said, I don't really like the way that looks. This is going to be 2.8 over x. And you know that they're both working. So you know that we're going to add these two together. On some problems, you are going to be subtracting. For instance, if there is a drain, that would be subtracting because that's taking positive effort away if you're going to drain something out. I think I'll leave it with decimals for now just because you can see I am out of space on my paper. But I'm going to multiply by 3x because that's my LCD. So in this first case, the 3's will cancel. So I get 2.8x. Make sure you can see my decimal. That says 2.8x. In the second part, the x's are going to cancel. And you're left with 3 times 2.8, which is 8.4. Equals, and at the end, you're left with 3x times 1, which is just 3x. So I'm going to subtract 2.8x. I'm going to divide by 0.2. So x equals, if I divide something by 0.2, it's the same thing as dividing it by 1/5, which is multiplying it times 5, which is 42. So that means that if Faith did the job by herself, it would take her 42 hours to do it. Kind of makes sense because it took Evan only 3 hours. She didn't really help that much because working together it took 2.8, so she wasn't really very productive. So this seems like a reasonable answer.